Hey everybody, welcome back to another Deck Profile Friday. So if you remember the past 2 weeks, more specifically last week, I posted an insane Regidrago VStar list. And, it's a very good list, but one of the problems that I was having with it was obviously against the best deck in the format right now, which is Lugia. And that is its ability to respond KO, right? After, let's say something like a Boss's Orders or a Serena, right? And that's a huge problem. And the reason why it's a problem is because of the energy cost to use Regidrago's Apex Dragon attack, right? It's a 3 energy costing attack. And so what ends up happening is Lugia VStar just ends up overwhelming you so quickly. Even if you go first, right? It's crazy on how much power it has, and it just one-hit KOs you, right? And then, even if you go first, and then, so they'll do it on their second turn, they'll one-hit KO your Regidrago, and then guess what, right? What do you do? How do you respond back? And that was the whole issue with that build. And so I wanted to, build the deck to counter that problem. And I think I found a pretty good solution, right? So we are going to show off the deck right now. So the first big change was to drop down to a 2-2 Regidrago line, right? We're having a little bit too much dependency on Regidrago VStar. Don't get me wrong, it's still really good. But when you put all your eggs in one basket, things can kind of happen, right? And we don't want that. So the V there, 220 HP, Dragon type, which means no weakness and no resistance. 3 retreat. Its first attack, Celestial Roar. Discard the top 3 cards of your deck. If any of those cards are energy, attach them to this Pokemon. So nice self-charging attack, which is cool. And then its second attack there, Dragon Laser for 2 grass and a fire. It does 130. And then this attack also does 30 damage to one of your opponent's Pokemon. Bench Pokemon. Don't apply weakness and resistance for bench Pokemon. Really cool. Right, you can if you 30 snipe twice on, let's say, something like a Dunsparce or something like that. I don't know if they would play Dunsparce against you, but or like a Sobble, 2 hits with that knocks out a Sobble. All right, so that's pretty huge. And then the V-Star there. So same thing, it's Dragon type, which means no weakness and resistance, 3 retreat. And then an awesome attack there, Apex Dragon for 2 grass and a fire. Choose an attack from a Dragon-type Pokemon in your discard and use it as this attack. So that means anything, right? And, even if the attack costs more, right? It says use the effect of that attack as this attack, right? So it doesn't need to have the right energy, right? So if it's a 4 energy costing attack, you do it for 3. Really simple. And then it's V-Star power there, Legacy Star. Once during your turn, you may discard the top 7 cards of your deck. Then put up to 2 cards from your discard pile into your hand. So those 2 cards you put into your hand are not just from the 7 cards that you discarded, right? They're from everything that you've played already. Anything that has hit the discard, via cards from your hand, cards from your deck, or even Pokemon that were knocked out, right? You can retrieve those back. So in a way, it's kind of like an ordinary rod or a training court, right? And that's really awesome. So it's also great at milling Dragon-type Pokemon, which is what you need to use Apex Dragon for, right? So that's awesome. So we did have a 3-3, but we dropped it down to 2-2, and I'm actually pretty happy with this because we're trying to decrease the dependency on Regidrago. And we're actually trying to increase the dependency on this card, specifically for Lugia, right? And actually does help versus Mew. And that is a 2-2 Appletun line. All right, so Appletun there. This is the best one, I think. 40 HP. They all have 40 HP and a weakness to fire. Retreat cost of 1, resistance to nothing. Its attack there, continuous tumble for a grass and a colorless. It does 10, and then you flip a coin until you get tails. This attack does 30 more damage for each head. So you do have donk potential with this, which is really cool. And then Appletun there, right? The secondary attacker. This is such a good card. It's one of my favorite counters right now. It has 90 HP. It's dragon type, so no weakness and resistance again. 3 retreat. Its attack there, first attack, thick mucus for a colorless. It does 70 damage for each special energy card attached to your opponent's Pokemon. Right? And Lugia, Lugia VStar needs 4 to attack. Right? So that means when you attack with this, you'll be doing that perfect 280 to knock it out, barring that they don't have a that V-Guard energy, I believe, on it, right? If that's the case, you just attach a choice belt, right, etc. It's also good for knocking out things in Mew, right? Like Mew VMax or Meloetta, right? Because both of them use special energy. The deck only plays special energy, right? And Mew, like the Meloetta, only has 90 HP, so it's 2-hit KOable, right? Thick mucus won't necessarily knock out a Mew V, but fighting tackle will with a choice belt. Does 80 damage for a grass and fire. And if your opponent's active Pokemon is a V, this attack does 80 more. So that's 160. You slap a choice belt on it, it does 190, which is the perfect amount to knock out a Fusion Strike Mew V. Awesome card. So, and the other thing too, right? Two things. One, it's a single prize attacker, which means it can't be Serena'd. It can only be bossed, right? Its thick mucus is only a single energy requirement to get a KO, meaning you just play an apple and then you evolve, attach, and then knock out the Lugia VStar, right? It's a dragon, so you can use it with Regidrago VStar, right? And it's a single prize attacker. What more do you want? This card is so good right now, and maybe even you might even want to increase the amount in this deck, right? But I'm really happy with this card. And that is it for the secondary attacker. So now on to the dragons for Regidrago there. Other than Appletun, we have Duraludon VMax, Giratina VStar, Hisuian Goodra VStar, and Dragonite. So Duraludon there, right? It's used for the G-Max pulverization. It breaks through any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So it's more to counter Miltank, Miltank, the one from Astral there that protects it against Vs, right? It also does a perfect 220, right, which knocks out most Vs right now. So Arceus, right, Giratina, Palkia, Lugia, that knocks them out with 220, and it's perfect. So you can use boss's orders and then G-Max pulverization or Serena or whatever. Giratina VStar, right? Another boss of bosses here. Lost Impact, right? It does 280, right? 280 is the perfect amount right now to knock out V-Stars, right? Providing that they don't have something like a Big Charm or like a V-Guard energy attached, right? Star Requiem, right? that's another actually really good attack, right? If they're above that damage threshold, right? Like if they're higher than that 280, you just use that and knock them out. Goodra, right? So that, by the way, and Giratina Star Requiem is actually good against Goodra there, right? So, and speaking of Goodra, right, it's Rolling Iron attack, 200, damage reduced by 80. So this is great against single prizers, right? Like decks like Regigigas. So that's another fantastic card. Dragonite. So it does 180, and then you search your deck for 3 energy cards and attach them to your Pokemon in any way you like. So nice self-charging attack for Pokemon on the bench, right? You may not necessarily use this every game, but it's still really good when you can get it out, right? And use that attack, right? You just need to kind of figure out what attack you need at which moment. So that is the Dragons. Only the 4. There's no Garchomp, no Flygon, right? Garchomp is a terrible starter, and that's 4 energy attacks, a little bit too slow. Flygon is decent as well, right? But once again, it's a terrible starter, right? If I were to choose between the 2, I'd probably play the Flygon, just because it has an advantage over Mew VMax, as it knocks it out by dealing 320. But I'd opt to not play it. So we do have some support Pokemon and 2 Leafeon V, a Crobat V, a Drapion V, and a Radiant Greninja. So Leafeon V is also a backup attacker if needed, right? It's grass, meaning it's good against Pokemon that are weak to grass, like Darkrai VStar, if you do play against that, right? So it's 200 HP, weakness to fire, no resistance, and retreat cost of 1. Its ability there, which is why we play it, Greening Cells. You may search your deck for a grass energy card and attach it to one of your Pokemon. If you use this ability, your turn ends. So you want to use this turn 2, or turn 1, pardon me, after you attach to your Regidrago to get it 2 energy on it, and then next turn, right, you just attach, and then you're ready to go into Regidrago VStar and attack with that. And then it's attack there for a grass and 2 colorless. Leaf Blade does 90, and then flip a coin. If heads, it does 60 more damage. So possible 150 times 2 due to weakness, right? That's 300. So another possible way to knock out, high, decent HP Pokemon. It also knocks out a lot of single prizers too if you get that coin flip. Crobat V. We play it there for only the Dark Asset ability, right? Draw cards until you have 6 in your hand. Everything else is okay. Dark type, right? Weakness is fighting, which is a really good weakness to have right now. No resistance, and retreat cost of 1, so which is better than having 2 or 3, right? Drapion, the Mew killer, right? Actually, another terrible starter, right? But we play it so we can one-shot Mew. Between Appletun and Drapion, right? You should be able to win that prize trade, right? You can use your Appletuns to knock out the Meloetta, right? And then you use your Drapion to knock out the Mew. Let's say they Meloetta knock out your Regidrago V. Okay. You respond with an Appletun knockout, right? So the prize trade is 1-2 in their favor. They knock out your Appletun, right? So now it's 3-1, right? And then you respond with the Drapion, right? You knock out the Mew VMax. That makes it 4-3, right? So now they have to take 3 prizes, right? And you should be able to get 2 prizes just with the boss. And we do play an ordinary rod on this list to knock out a Mew V. Really simple. Radiant Greninja. Probably the best Radiant for this. You could play Charizard if you really wanted for that 250. But I prefer the extra draw because I actually do need to draw cards quite often. Right? Often my turn 1, turn 2, I'm going to be using Crobat V and Radiant Greninja. So discard an energy with concealed cards and draw 2 cards. Moonlight Shuriken we don't use just because we don't play water. That is the Pokemon line. Now time for the trainer cards. Trainers, supporters, and stadiums, right? Now these are actually really hard to get perfect. I do feel like it's really good right now. We do have 3 Professors Research, right? We have 2 Boss's Orders. We have 2 Serena. We have a Gardenia's Vigor. We have a Marnie. We have 2 Training Court and a Temple of Sinnoh for supporters and stadiums. Professor's Research, the best draw card in the game. Discard, draw 7. Boss's Orders, switch one of your opponent's Pokemon with their active, right? Really good. Serena does Boss's Orders except only for Vs. And as well as, you can discard up to 3 cards from your hand, and if you do, draw cards until you have 5. So it's great at discarding dragons. Gardenia's Vigor is probably the most questionable one here. Draw 2 cards. If you drew any cards in this way, attach up to 2 grass energy cards from your hand to one of your bench Pokemon. So the question is, do you really need this? Right? It's extremely situational. So you could maybe put in something like a Roxanne, right? I'm not really too sure. Just depends on what you want to do and how you want to play. Right? Marnie, an extra draw card. Right? We don't play Path, but it could work. Training Court gets energy from the discard. Temple of Sinnoh. All special energy attached to both yours and your opponent's Pokemon provide colorless energy and have no other effects. Really, really good. So this card, you might actually want to play more than this. You just might want to drop the 2 training course and just go 3. Just go all in. Right? Maybe drop the Gardenias and put in a 4th one. Right? Or maybe put in a Path to the Peak somewhere. Right? I don't know. But I do feel that 3 stadiums is probably the right call. And that is it for the supporters and the stadiums. So now we will go to the rest of the trainer cards. And the thing that you need to do to make the deck consistent is just have a lot of Pokemon search. And we do. We start off with 4 Battle VIP Pass, 4 Quick Ball, 4 Ultra Ball, right? More trainers, 2 Air Balloon, 2 Choice Belt, 2 Evolution Incense, and then 1 of each of Escape Rope, Ordinary Rod, and Switch. So Battle VIP Pass, awesome card. There's often times where I don't end up having this, and I have to go into a Crobat to draw more cards, and I end up drawing that to set up, which is awesome. Quick Ball there, an Ultra Ball, both discard cards, which is good. You discard those dragons. Quick Ball searches for a basic. Ultra Ball searches for basic and evolution. Air Balloon, the retreat cost of the Pokemon this card is attached to is 2 colorless less, which is really good. You typically want to attach it to a single energy retreater to give it free retreat. Choice Belt, an extra plus 30 to Pokemon V, so it's really good. 2 Evolution Incense searches for an evolution card, so we do play a lot of those, right? Escape Rope, right? It's pretty much the new Warp Point. You know, each player switches their active with one of their bench. Your opponent switches first. Ordinary Rod shuffles in 2 Pokemon and 2 energies from your discard, 2 basic energies from your discard into your deck. And you typically want to do that on the Drapion and the Mew matchup, right? And probably your Applins and Appletuns and the Lugia matchup, right? If you're able to set up 2 of them, you just shuffle 1 back in after it gets knocked out, search out the basic, and then search out the evolution the next turn, and then you're able to take down 3 Lugia VStars. Really easy. And then switch is just switch, right? So we do have 4 switching cards here. You can maybe drop it to 3 if you wanted, right? Just depends on what you want to do. And that is it for the trainer cards. So lastly, the energies. The energies are actually really simple. They did change from last week, right? Only by 1 though. Only by 1 card, right? Still the same though. We dropped it to 6 grass and then 4 fire, right? So an option that you could do is maybe drop the Gardenia's Vigor, right? Because the chances of having 2 grass energies in your hand with that card in your hand at the same time is extremely, extremely small. And you can maybe just put in another grass energy. That could work, right? You might want to, I don't know, drop a fire energy for another grass energy, right? Since we're not playing Charizard, do we really need it? Right? We do have the training courts in here, which do help. But if you end up moving those out, right, for Temple of Sinnoh or Path or whatever, right, it might be a good idea to up the energy count by 1 or even 2. So it just depends on what you want to do. But that is it for the deck profile. So this is my current Regidrago VStar build. I would have played it at the tournament this past weekend if I decided to play Regidrago. Yeah, awesome deck, right? I don't think that people give enough credit to this, right, on how well it could perform, right? And I think the hype right now is way too much on Lugia and Mew, and you know, it'd be awesome to see more people try things and try to build decks a lot better, right? You know, especially older decks. You know, take an older deck, right, and figure out how you can improve it for the current metagame. And you know, I really feel like that's that's what I've did here. So it's tailored to this metagame. Matchups wise, you know, you should be able to beat Lugia with this. You should be able to beat Mew with this, right? Giratina, right, is probably going to be your toughest one, right? It all depends on how quickly you can get that Regidrago VStar and the Giratina VStar into the discard. It all depends. The Appletun line is completely useless because they don't play special energy except for maybe capture energy, right? So that's not too good. Palkia Kyurem, if you're playing against that, right? Once again, that's probably your worst matchup. It'll probably be really tough. Regis, like the original Regigigas, should be winnable, right? They can't hit weakness on you, which is really good. And your Appletun will actually hurt your pretty much all your opponents' Regis there. It won't be able to knock out Regigigas because it's got 150 HP and it only deals 140 with the first attack there. So you'll probably have to use Regidrago VStar a lot more and just continuously use Rolling Iron. That's probably the path that I would take with it, right? What else am I missing? Lost Box. So that's a pretty interesting one, right? I'd probably say it's the same as Regis, right? You probably just want to use Rolling Iron. Be careful if they have that Charizard in there, right? They might drop that Charizard on you at an instant. Radiant Greninja could be a problem as well with those decks, right? If they do any spreading, right? We do not play Manaphy in here. So they'll probably likely target your Leafeon, right? Your Crobat, or your, I don't know, your Appletuns or Applins, right? So you just want to be careful of how many Vs you're playing on the bench, right? And kind of use them only as needed. But yeah, I think that covers the top decks right now. So it'll be interesting coming out to see what happens in the next couple big tournaments. Probably the big one to be noted is Toronto, which is happening, I think, on the first weekend of December. Or I think it's like the 6th. So we'll see what happens with that. Should be a pretty big tournament. Probably the same old Lugia and Mew, number 1 and 2, right? Or vice versa. And yeah, but there you go, everybody. This is part 3, and this will probably be the last Regidrago VStar build I give to you. So if you like what you're hearing, like what you're seeing, leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel, as I'm always trying to produce good content like this. And don't forget to leave a comment. Anything that that you see that, or that you want to see, anything that you've tried. Let me know how the build is working out for you. And yeah, this is Deck Profile Friday, so we do that on Fridays. I cover a deck from any time period, right? Could be Sword and Shield on right now to just base only, either or. Sundays we do an opening, so a Pokemon TCG product, right? Letting you know what I like, what I didn't like, etc. And then on Wednesdays are Gameplay Wednesdays, so just some games from Pokemon TCG Online. I'll kind of go over that and how the how the games are going, and just show off not just my playing, but any neat little tricks that you can do with the deck there. So yeah, but there you go, and thank you so much for watching the video, and see you next time.